For the past 2.5 decades, the MDX has been an easy choice for families looking for a 3-row SUV that offers a slightly sportier edge. Now that sportier edge got even more serious when the all-new 4th generation MDX came out back in 2022, and that's because Acura introduced their first ever Type S variant, which means they also introduced a new 3-liter turbo V6 under the hood and the brand's first ever fully adaptive air suspension. So as you guys know, the MDX continues to do battle with a lot of fierce competitors like the new Lexus TX, the Infiniti QX50, the Genesis GV80, and of course there's the BMW X5. So for 2025, the latest MDX is getting its first refresh. And as you can see, it gets updated styling on the outside, and it also has an updated interior with the brand's newest infotainment system with Google built in, and it also finally becomes a touchscreen. So the big question I want to answer for those of you who are looking for a sophisticated and sporty 3-row family SUV, has Acura made the latest MDX even better? Stay tuned to find out. So before we start talking about the small exterior styling changes that Acura has made for 2025, let me go ahead and pop the hood and show you guys what's powering this thing. Now, of course, with any Acura that has a Type S badge, there's a big promise of additional performance, and Acura certainly delivers that with the brand's turbocharged 3-liter V6. Now this engine was first introduced in the TLX Type S back in 2021, and in the MDX Type S, as you can see, the engine stats basically remain unchanged. It's a transversely mounted engine, which means it's a front drive architecture, although all Type S variants of the MDXs come with the latest version of the company's super handling all-wheel drive. So this 3-liter turbocharged gasoline direct injection double overhead cam V6 with variable valve timing, but it doesn't have their VTEC technology, still makes the same 355 horsepower and 354 pound-feet of torque. It all goes out through a 10-speed automatic transmission that is a Honda/Acura design transmission. And like I said earlier, super handling all-wheel drive is going to be standard. It basically has the ability to send up to 70% of the torque to the rear wheels and 100% of the torque to the side wheels to essentially give us true torque vectoring. Acura says that it has a turbocharger with a variable compression that allows it to basically pump in up to 15.1 pounds of boost. It's a very understressed engine. In fact, I suspect there's probably a tune out there that can easily ramp the power up to over 400 horsepower. 355 is still a little bit soft. It was soft when it first came out. It's even softer today because, as you guys know, there's a ZDX Type S that delivers 500 horsepower, but that is, again, an all-electric powertrain from General Motors. Acura doesn't claim a 0 to 60 time. We'll test it out when we get out on the road. The quickest we've gotten is 5.5 seconds. The slowest we've gotten is 6 seconds. It has a top speed of around 111 miles an hour. And fuel economy is rated at 17 in the city, 21 on the highway. Those numbers are unchanged. That's on premium gas. This vehicle has an 18.5 gallon fuel tank. You're looking at around 350-ish miles of range on a full tank. Now, towing capacity is also at 5,000 pounds, which is pretty class average. And then in terms of the curb weight, this model as it sits weighs in at just over 4,700 pounds. Curb weight is unchanged from last year's model, and it's around 200 pounds heavier versus the non-Type S variants, which have a larger V6 at 3.5 liters, making 290 horsepower. I'll save that, of course, for a different review. But let's go ahead and close up the hood here and talk about the slight exterior styling tweaks. As you can see, the latest MDX definitely has a much more sophisticated and sportier ambiance to it. In fact, in terms of the exterior design, you'd have to have really parked next to the old one to see all the changes that Acura has made. You can see the Type S variant definitely takes the aggression up to the next level. You get these full July, full LED headlights with the chicane style daytime running light, the 4 individual diodes for the LEDs. You also have an LED turn signal, LED daytime running light. The grille, as you can see, adopts their frameless diamond pentagon with the open pore surface grille that allows for more air to pass through the grille to cool the engine and the intercooler. Of course, there's a subtle Type S badge there in the side of the grille. You can see the big Acura logo there, houses the radar sensor for the Acura Watch 360 driver assistance tech. There's also a full 360 camera that's standard on all versions of the Type S, so there's a front camera there. The front fascia also gets this more aggressive lower diffuser area with the gloss black and the functional air intake openings. There's LED fog lights, more openings there. You can even see the intercooler peeking through behind the front end. There's some well-integrated parking sensors. In fact, the front end of this vehicle looks pretty much identical to an A-spec MDX, although the Type S gets a slightly larger grille opening along with the Type S badge, but everything else kind of looks pretty similar. So compared to the pre-refresh model, I think it's definitely a nice look, although I don't know if it's nicer looking versus when this car first came out. Let me know in the comment section below if you guys prefer the refresh or the pre-refresh model. Now, moving around the side profile, this is built, of course, on Acura's latest large SUV architecture. It now shares it, of course, with the latest Honda Pilot. And this MDX essentially got a growth spur when it came out with a wheelbase just under 114 inches long, with a 198.5-inch overall length. It's around 2 inches longer in the wheelbase, 4 inches longer in the overall length. It's also around 1.5 inches wider at 78.7. The height is about the same as last year's model. You can see the wheels. The wheels also got an updated look this year. You can see these are unique to the Type S. They're a 21-inch wheel, a really nice 5-spoke look with the machine with the machine look with the gloss black inner pockets. You also have these upgraded brakes, 14.3 inches, clamped down by 4-piston Brembo calipers, which are red painted, unique to the Type S. These also have a brake-by-wire system, electro servos, what Acura calls them, that were pulled from the NSX. That, of course, is going to give us a slightly different brake feel, which we'll talk about later. You can see adaptive air suspension is standard on all Type S models. The regular MDXs will have just adaptive dampers. It basically allows the ground clearance to vary from 6.7 all the way up to 9.4 inches in its off-road mode. You can see the Type S also includes these gloss black wheel arch trim going kind of around the side and along the side profile of the vehicle. It looks good, of course, with this urban gray pearl exterior for an extra $600. This is actually kind of a warm gray. In the sun, it'll actually emit kind of like a really nice undertone that's a little bit brownish. You can see there's a Type S badge there. You can, I believe, black out those badges if you'd like. I also like how the Type S includes a black side mirror here with integrated turn signals. These are also power folding. You have black along the window trim. My test car also has these, can be orchid interior. The sunroof, the panoramic sunroof is standard along with the low profile roof rails, which are gloss black, which look nice. If I pull away from this angle here, the MDX, I think, still has a very, traditional MDX look. It's instantly recognizable as an MDX for me. And then on moving around to the rear, you can really see that this vehicle is much larger than the previous generation, and the back end pretty much looks the same. I don't really see any changes visually compared to the pre-refresh model. You can see there's a subtle little spoiler at the top. You have a rear window wiper here, the Acura badge there, along with Type S and MDX with super handling all-wheel drive badging. You can also get it with black badging, I believe. And then you can see the taillights have that chicane style with the full LED design with LED turn signals, LED reverse lights. And then down here you can see the rear diffuser is much more aggressive. Type S's all come with the signature quad outlet exhaust. And unlike the TLX Type S, however, the MDX's exhaust is definitely tuned to be a lot quieter. So let's go ahead and fire it up, hear how it sounds real quick. And it's definitely a nice noise. I like the fact that Acura still offers this car with a V6. A lot of competitors have gone to Turbo 4s with hybridization, but it definitely could use an even sweeter snarl considering this is, again, a Type S variant. Now, looking at the cargo area, you can see a power liftgate is a standard. It also includes their hands-free function. And then in terms of the cargo area, you can see a third row is going to be standard. This vehicle does seat up to 7 people because there are no captain's chairs in the middle. This third row only seats 2 across. The cargo area back here is around 16.3 cubic feet of storage space, which is on the small side. If you guys are looking at a Lexus TX, you're going to get around 5 more cubic feet of additional space. There is a nice hefty underfloor storage area here, which provides some really nice covered storage. You can also kind of flip this around to kind of expose a more durable, non-carpeted area here for the cargo floor. If you fold down this third row seat, which as you can see, it's a manual folding third row. A lot of competitors have gone to a power fold feature, so that's a little bit annoying to find at this price point. It expands the cargo to around 39 cubic feet. If you include the underfloor storage here, Acura says the third row space is 18.3 with the third row seats up, around 48 cubic feet with the third row seat down. However, I think the true number is probably around 39 cubic feet. If you fold down the second row, Acura says you have around 71.4 cubic feet of space for the standard, or up to 95 cubic feet if you include the space underneath the floor, and if you push the second row or the front row seats up a little bit. I think the true number is 71.5, which again is on the small side. If you're comparing it to the Lexus TX, which is much larger on the outside, the Lexus offers around an additional 22 cubic feet of storage space maximum. So that's something to keep in mind if you guys are needing that extra bit of cargo space. So on the outside, the exterior styling changes are definitely very subtle, but what about the interior? This is where, if you guys have seen the pre-refresh model, the interior won't look all that different. But before we get inside, let me show you guys the key fob. You can see this is Acura's latest intelligent access key fob that's standard on all versions of the MDX. The Type S looks a little different, obviously, because it has a Type S badge on the back. It's a nice key fob that looks a little bit different and feels really expensive compared to the ones that Honda gives you. It's a nice heft to it. It's a nice size. You have lots of buttons here for your remote start, lock, unlock, power liftgate, and panic functions. So again, this key fob I think is a really nice key that goes with the overall package of the MDX. Now, as you can see, when you approach the door handle, traditional pull style door handles, there's also a little area here to lock and unlock, to lock the vehicle. To unlock it, you basically touch the back of the door handle there. That will unlock the door for you. This vehicle does have an auto walk-away lock feature that you can turn on and off. You can see the mirrors also will fold in or out whenever you have the vehicle locked or unlocked. Now, in terms of the interior, you can see my test car has the urban gray exterior with the light orchid premium Milano leather or full leather interior. These seats are also unique to the Type S. You can see they also have Type S embossed on the actual head restraints. I love how premium and luxurious feeling and plush feeling these seats are. They are adjustable in 16 different ways. The seats are also heated and ventilated and offer a 9-function massage function. The massage was only on the Type S with the advanced package when this car first came out. But Acura has basically made the massage seats standard on all Type S's, and you can also get the massage seats at standard with the advanced package on the A-Spec model or the regular advanced. So that's something that I think Acura did a great job expanding. The seats also have adjustable bolstering. I like how the adjustments there are pretty much where you expect them to be. They have a nice plush feel to them. I like the ultra suede material as well. You can basically get the urban gray with the black or the light orchid. However, Acura should be offering their red interior with the urban gray, but sadly they don't do that. You have to go for a different color to get their red interior. Now, looking at the door panels, you can see this upper portion has a soft touch injection molded plastic. This could be nicer. I kind of wish this was stitched in the same high quality leather as it is down here. And down here where it's nice and padded, you have this really nice black dark wood with a matte finish, the open pore surface, which definitely looks and feels really nice. You have an aluminum accented door handle here. You have 3-person memory on the driver and on the passenger side. So I love how Acura is expanding that. You can see the Bang & Olufsen stereo is an upgrade from the previous ELS sound system, and it has 31 speakers. It has illuminated speaker lights as well, along with their ambient lighting as well, which looks really great at night. You can see the lower door panel here, sadly, is a hard touch injection molded plastic. At least there's additional storage here. I also like the alloy sport pedals, and overall it makes a great first impression. It definitely feels like the flagship luxury SUV that you expect from the Acura brand. Now, getting inside, you can see the step-in is nice and easy because of that adjustable air suspension. As I get in and shut the door seriously has a solid sounding thunk. Sadly, there is no soft close feature. That's a touch that I think would take this vehicle even further up the totem pole for, luxuries. Now, getting inside and starting the vehicle up, you can see the start stop button is where you'd expect it to be. Push that button, you can see the engine fires right up. It has a traditional starter noise, although it sounds nothing like the old J-Series Honda and Acura V6. It's actually a little bit nondescript when it starts up. It also has a traditional starter noise because this vehicle is not a hybrid or a mild hybrid. You can see the gauge cluster, fully digital. They did change the way the gauges look. You can actually customize the look of the gauges as well when you go into the settings. If I switch the drive mode selector and do comfort, you can see it gives you a kind of a minimalistic view with the blue accents for comfort. Go to normal, it's basically white. Go to sport, it turns to red, and then push and hold the dial here. Rotate it, it'll go into Sport Plus, where it actually will raise up the revs. And it definitely sounds better from the inside of the vehicle versus outside the car, so kind of keep that in mind. There is some synthesized noises. Now, in terms of the rest of the interior, you can see the Type S comes standard with the heads-up display. You have beautiful leather over the instrument panel hood, real leather stitching along this portion of the actual dashboard. The 12.3-inch Google infotainment system also has been moved forward by about 4 inches, I believe, and that allows you to basically reach this vehicle to use it as a touchscreen. And that's because Acura finally decided to give us a full touchscreen. They got rid of their true touchpad interface here, which freed up some additional storage and gave us a better wireless phone charging pad that's better positioned. You have traditional air vents, some piano black plastic, more of that black open pore wood on the upper portion, along with real leather stitching. You also get some beautiful ambient lighting on the dash and on the door panels, which looks great. This right here is your massive drive mode selector. push the Acura logo that goes into an individual setting. You rotate it to the right to go into sport. You can also go basically into a snow and a lift mode if you guys want to get the maximum ground clearance. I also love the way the graphics look. Acura's just done a good job with their latest infotainment system, although the one gripe I'm going to have is Acura and Honda have been slowly removing or quietly removing XM satellite radio in their vehicles. Now you can go into the Google Play Store and download it, but I just don't understand why they wanted to remove it from the native system. I just find that to be a little bit of an annoyance. You can see the Google Maps interface as you open it up here is basically the same kind of map interface you're going to find from your computer, and it also works really well. It has Google built in with the Google Assistant. It's also quick and snappy and responsive. I like how it has like a two-tier look here where you can kind of put different cards. You can also connect this via your phone with wireless Apple CarPlay and AirDrop Auto. That's going to be standard. I'm not connected right now because I'm using my phone to film and it messes up the audio system. Your ambient lighting, you can choose from several different types of ambient lighting. You can even have it adjust based on your dynamic mode selector. Again, I love the different themes that Acura offers here. It definitely makes this vehicle feel even more upscale. You can see probably one of my favorites is going to be one of the purple ones. Like I love this one right here. I don't know how to pronounce that, but again, it all is inspired by locations and whatnot, so it makes this vehicle feel even more premium when you look at some of the ambient lighting in here. So I think that's a really great touch. If I put the vehicle into reverse, you can see there's your full 360 surround view camera, which is standard on all the Type S variants this year. It has rear cross traffic trajectory, braking, automatic emergency braking, of course. The graphic quality and resolution is good. You have trajectory and parking sensors, so that's nice, a nice little touch. Although again, you have to go for the advanced package Acuras to get the full 360 camera system. Your your transmission selector is here. It's that push button. You have an auto start stop defeat button here. Your massaging seat is located here. Push that button. You can see if you push and hold it, you can select different types of massages as well. So this is something that comes standard on all advanced package models. The massage works well. There's 3 different levels of intensity. It's both the driver and the front passenger seat, which is not something you can say about Genesis. They only give you a massage seat for the driver's seat, which I think is honestly a little bit annoying. You have heated and cooled seats, like I said over here, via these actual buttons. So I appreciate how Acura is still doing buttons, which is nice. If you push this open, you have 2 USB charging ports, an A and a C. Your volume knob is right here. I love how it's still a traditional knob. I love how there's leather right here where you might hit your kneecap right there. And I also love how Acura resisted the urge to put piano black plastic that you find here on this lower portion, because this right here is just a lot more durable. Love the massive cell phone charger and holder with a non-slip surface, more storage here. Nice big cup holders, of course, padded center console armrest. And if you open this up, you can see there's 2 levels. That's the top level, and that's the deeper level. You can see there's 2 more USB-C charging ports, along with a nice storage area as well. You can see, I mentioned earlier, the seats are comfortable and supportive. They hold you in place nicely. I love the way they look and feel, although I wish Acura would just offer a red interior with this color combination. I think that would be a good option to have. And then if you open this up, you can see the glove box is damped and lined with felt. It's a bin style. It offers a good amount of additional storage. And if you guys are an audiophile, that Bang & Olufsen stereo is banging. It definitely sounds incredible, although I don't know if it's better than the ELS. I would love to try the 2 systems out back to back, but this is still one of the best sounding audio systems you're gonna find in any new car. You can see the rearview mirror is auto dimming. Sadly, no digital camera rearview mirror. You have LED map lights. You have a woven material for the headliner. Some competitors offer an ultra suede. And you can see massive panoramic glass roof, which does allow you to tilt or open it up completely to vent air. Built-in wind deflector, of course. You can open it up even more. It opens up only over the 2 front seats, but it's nice how it does. And that's also standard equipment, so that's a really nice feature, along with a power retractable shade. So overall, this interior still is full of all the latest tech and gadgets. It certainly feels really upscale in here, although there are a couple of things in here, like this material here and this material down here, that could be nicer, along with a suede Alcantara material. But still, this is a really nice cabin with really great tech. Love the fact that Acura made this a touchscreen. Love the massaging seats. Not a single squeak and rattle this interior. So again, if you guys are looking for the flagship luxury SUV from Acura, the MDX definitely sits in this position quite nicely. Moving to the back seat of the latest MDX, as you can see, if you guys are planning to use this as a family vehicle, the MDX certainly will suffice. However, there are competitors that offer even more second and third row seat space. Now, as you can see, my particular test car has a bench seat in the second row. All MDX Type S's come with this bench seat. You can essentially fold down this or remove it entirely to create captain's chairs. However, if you do take this seat out, you have to leave it somewhere, and there's no actual armrest here, so keep that in mind. It's not a true captain's chair setup. that could be a deal breaker for some if you prefer that. That's something like the Lexus TX offers, or an Infiniti QX60, or a Volvo XC90. But this allows the flexibility to at least seat up to 7 people, because the third row only seats 2 people across. Now looking at the door panel back here, you can see this material is the same as the front seat. It's a little bit cheap and harder plastic, however, although it's still slightly padded. I love the fact that this comes with the retractable sunshades, more of that beautiful black ash wood, more leather over here. The windows are one touch up, down for all 4. I will say that the window switches, they feel a little bit chitsy and plasticky. There's like a metal silver accent there, but they could feel even more higher quality. I do like how the Bang & Olufsen stereo here, again, 31 speakers, is metal over here, but it's plastic down here, hard touch plastic down here where you would store a few things, so that's not too big of a deal. And you can see this seat, when you get back here, Acura says there's around 38.5 inches of legroom. Now, getting back here and shutting the door, you can slide this seat forward and back. This is with it all the way back. So again, this space here is around 2 to 3 inches less than most of its rivals for second row space. So kind of keep that in mind. And if you need to actually fit adults back there, you do have to slide this seat forward a little bit. And if you do that, you're going to have even less space. With it all the way back here, I can still get relatively comfortable and cross my legs, but the last Lexus TX that I was in definitely offered more space. I like how the floor here is at least completely flat. You do have 3-row automatic climate control, which is nice. You have 3-level heated seats back here, along with your air vents. You have an actual power outlet there. Although just a 12 volt, it's not an actual household power outlet. You have 2 USB-C charging ports, no cooled seats back here. That's something that competitors would offer, our ventilated second row seats, so a little confusing and frustrating that Acura doesn't offer that. You do have 2 storage cubbies there in each of the seats and seat backs. And then if you fold this down, you can see that's where you can access the armrests with your cup holders, which is why I would probably never remove this seat, because this is basically the way that you're going to get captain chairs in this vehicle. So kind of keep that in mind. Although the armrest is a little bit too low for me, I do like how there's some storage here, and again, the built-in cup holders, which is definitely a nice touch. Now, getting into the third row of this vehicle, let's go ahead and hop back there. Acura was one of the first manufacturers to kind of pioneer this feature. You basically have a little button down here for kids. If you push that, you can see that allows the seat to kind of catapult forward, which is nice. And then you can also see the third row isn't quite as good looking in terms of the seats. There's no contrast stitching or piping or perforations back here, but let me go ahead and get back here and show you guys what that space is like. Now, as I crawl back into this side over here, you can see this is with the seat all the way back. Lexus. Acura says there's 29 inches of legroom back here. 29 inches is definitely on the small side. The Lexus TX offers nearly 5 more inches of legroom in the third row, so kind of keep that in mind. Thankfully, the floor is relatively low, and my knees are hitting the back of this, so I'd have to ask this seat here, this passenger, to move their seat slightly forward, which would eat into their 38 inches of legroom, which isn't all that great. This window here is also kind of small. There's all kinds of hard touch plastic over here, but there is one cup holder. There's also a USB-A charging port. It's also on the same side over here. And then there's also LED map lighting here. However, the one thing you're noticing, or at least I'm noticing, is there's no third row air vents back here. So if you guys are, sitting all the way back here, it's really hot or really cold, you're gonna have to basically sit here and be either like sweaty hot or really freezing cold, because there's no heated third row, there's no air vents back here. So that's a silly omission that Acura should have addressed in the refresh. So I'm a little annoyed that they did not. So that's kind of one of the reasons why, if you guys actually need to fit full-size adults and their stuff, the MDX can certainly do it in a pinch, but a lot of rivals offer much better options, so kind of keep that in mind. So here we are back behind the wheel of the 2025 Acura MDX. Remember, when this 4th generation first came out in 2022, I was really impressed with the overall package, especially when Acura decided to finally give us a Type S variant of an SUV. This was the first Type S variant of any Acura SUV, and now of course we have the ZDX. I'm still holding out that Acura will do an RDX Type S at some point, but even though this car got a pretty significant overhaul for 2025, the powertrain is mostly unchanged. It's still the 3-liter turbocharged direct injection V6 without VTEC. It's a double overhead cam engine. It still makes 355 horsepower, 354 pound-feet of torque. The quickest I've tested this model 0 to 60 wise is 5.5 seconds. The slowest I've tested was just over 6 seconds when we first drove this car out in California about 6 months ago. Weight is still around 4,700 pounds. This car is about 200 pounds heavier versus the non-Type S variants, which have just the 290 horsepower naturally aspirated 3.5-liter V6. Still hooked up to a 10-speed auto. This vehicle comes standard with super handling all-wheel drive. Let's go ahead and see what we can get this time on our usual stretch of road. I'm expecting it to be under 6 seconds again. So I have it in Sport Plus. I have it in Sport for the transmission. We'll brake torque it. This engine really runs out of revs. 0 to 60 in 5.29 seconds there, so 5.3 seconds. That's pretty darn good, actually. I was not expecting it to be faster versus the last Type S at 2024 that I tested on that same stretch, which did it in 5.5 seconds. So bravo, Acura. I was not expecting them to make this updated model slightly faster. So this is the quickest time I've gotten in any MDX Type S, which is a pretty good time. Although, again, if you're thinking this Type S is going to compare with like your buddy's BMW X5 M competition or even the V8 powered M60, you're going to be mistaken. This basically can barely keep pace with an X5 xDrive 40, which is kind of the downfall of the Type S, is you wanted this model to be faster. I mean, when the ZDX Type S has 500 horsepower, 355 seems a little bit soft. It shifts at like 5,500 RPM from first to second. 5.68 there, that's with it more going slightly uphill. I will try another run up ahead and see if we can get a consistent 5.3 time without brake torquing it, but still, that time is pretty good, but there's room for improvement. I would love to see an MDX Type S do a sub, 5-second run 0 to 60 wise. That seems to be the norm. That's, pretty much what I got in the last BMW X5 xDrive 40 that I tested. So there's definitely lots of room for improvement. But in terms of the handling, this vehicle does come, of course, with Acura's latest super handling all-wheel drive. It's got an adaptive air suspension. It also has their electro-servo brake-by-wire technology that they basically borrowed from the MDX. So the brakes also are upsized, nearly 14.5 inches in diameter, 4-piston Brembo rotor calipers at the front. They are some serious brakes with serious upgrades to the suspension. In Sport Plus, the adaptive air suspension lowers itself, and it also makes the dampers in its firmest setting. The steering in this car is electric. I have to say, the steering doesn't transmit much in terms of feedback. It also feels a little bit too light for my taste, especially in Sport Plus. I wanted it to get a little bit heavier. So that's something to keep in mind. But the vehicle corners really nicely. The suspension stays pretty flat. The body also feels nice and stiff. This is a sporty handling SUV, much sportier to drive than something like the Lexus TX 500h F Sport Performance. And the Acura is a little bit faster than the Lexus, although fuel economy wise, the Lexus is definitely going to be better in that regard. Put my foot down here. That super handling all-wheel drive really tries to drive that rear outside wheel. Basically 70% of the torque can go to the back, about 100% can go side to side. So that's going to give us, again, that real torque vectoring, that dynamic torque vectoring. It makes a difference. It makes this front wheel drive biased vehicle feel more agile, feel more nimble, feel more balanced. And that's kind of the beauty about the MDX. That 10-speed also is just quick, snappy, and I like the sound of this engine. It's a really good sound that's synthesized, but also genuine as well. We'll try another run here. Love the sound, love the shifts. 5.39 seconds there, so my quickest run was 5.29, which again is a pretty good time. And for those of you who are, cross-shopping it with the base V6, I believe the 0 to 60 time in this car is around a second to a second and a half quicker, depending, of course, on, road conditions and whatnot, but... oh... I love this powertrain in the TLX Type S. I love it in the MDX Type S. It's a little bit quieter in terms of sound in this car, but that's okay. You kind of expect this car to be a little bit quieter. It is a family SUV. You want it to be a little bit smoother, but let's go ahead and switch the drive mode here into normal. And this is where the MDX reminds you this is their flagship luxury SUV. The dampers get a little bit softer. The exhaust noise, or the engine, gets a little bit quieter, pretty darn quiet actually. This is one of the quietest driving and riding SUVs that I've tested in this class. It definitely is a little bit quieter than the last Lexus TX 500h that I tested. And I just so love the way, I'm sitting here getting a massage. This massaging seat function, which has now been expanded in terms of availability to the non-Type S, to where you basically just need to get an advanced package. It'll include that. This also has Acura Watch 360, although it's not the same Acura Watch 360 Plus that has hands-free drive that you get in the ZDX Type S, because the ZDX Type S is technically GM Super Cruise. This is, Acura's version of their, most advanced driver assistance tech. It now adds active lane change assist, which is new this year. I had a chance to try it. It works fine, although, again, it takes about as long, if not longer, versus somebody like me just looking at my blind spot and changing lanes, initiating the lane change on my own. Visibility is also good. I can see it out of the front, the side, the rear also quite nicely. Although the rear view headrests, or the rear third row headrests, do get in the way. You can lower those obviously to make them not impede on your view. A digital camera rearview mirror would be nice if Acura would just do that. In terms of the fuel economy, this is rated at 1721, about 19 combined. It's around 2 mpg thirstier versus the naturally aspirated V6. In my week's worth of testing, I was averaging around 18 mpg in mostly mixed driving. Real world range, I was also getting just under 300 miles with that 18.5 gallon fuel tank. Remember, premium gas is required. On the highway, the best I could do is just over 20 mpg. So there's definitely room for fuel economy improvements. And this is where the Lexus TX 500h F Sport Performance can easily do about 5 mpg better in the highway and probably around 7 mpg better in the city. So the Lexus does have a smaller fuel tank, but it does get about 400 miles of range. So better range than the Lexus, better fuel efficiency. Not quite as quick and also not quite as satisfying to drive because this definitely handles better, this sounds better. I love the quickness of the 10-speed auto, the sharpness of it, that, you know, sonorous V6. I mean, I love a V6, so if Acura could just do an electrified hybrid with this powertrain, that'd be fantastic. Just do a Type S with an electric motor, you know, make this thing have like an extra 100 horsepower, 450 horsepower would be phenomenal if it could do like almost 30 mpg on the highway. So I'm hoping Acura will eventually do something like that to bring us into the electrified era. They used to do a sport hybrid MDX for the previous generation, but it just didn't do well in terms of sales, so Acura canned it, but I'm hoping they're working on something even better, even more impressive, because again, Honda and Acura could be, you know, right up there with Toyota and Lexus for hybrid tech, but they've always been kind of just one step behind. But overall, with its plush ride quality, with its sporty handling dynamics, with the dynamic mode selector, it has so many different personalities, these comfortable seats that just are sitting here giving me a massage, and this car is so darn quiet. It's the perfect road trip vehicle, has tons of space for your family. I can see why this vehicle remains one of Acura's best-selling vehicles, and for me, it's still a top choice if you guys are looking for a 3-row mid-size to slightly larger luxury SUV from Japan. Just be sure that you're okay with its slightly thirstier fuel consumption and the fact that no electrified hybrid is available at any price for the MDX, at least for now. So with just over 57,000 units sold in America last year, the latest MDX continues to be one of Acura's best-selling models, and after spending a full week with the latest version, it doesn't surprise me at all why this vehicle continues to be a sales success. Because as you guys saw, the Type S variant is both comfortable and sporty to drive. 0 to 60 happens in 5.29 seconds, so it's the quickest accelerating MDX that we've ever tested, which I also like to see, although again, it could be faster if Acura would just add some kind of hybridization, increase the power to by about 100. That would definitely make it more worthy of the Type S badge. Handling wise, this is still one of the sportiest driving SUVs, combined with the nice noise that you get from the V6 engine with that quick shifting 10-speed auto and that really great ride quality. Even though we've got big 21-inch wheels with the adaptive air suspension, this is one of the best handling and most comfortable riding SUVs depending on whatever drive mode you have it in. It's also one of the quietest SUVs out there. Acura really did a great job to make this vehicle even quieter. I love the fact that it has massaging seats as standard, although it did make the Type S more expensive because now it only comes with the advanced package. The second row and the third row is on the smaller side, so keep that in mind. If you guys actually need to carry people and stuff, or just you have taller friends, the Lexus TX is going to give you more space. This is kind of more akin to, you know, other vehicles like the Volvo XC90 having pretty similar space, although the Volvo again is also pretty old, but we just also got a pretty heavy refresh again for 2025 and a half. Cargo area is also on the lower end of the class, but again, if you guys don't need all that additional space, the MDX is kind of a nice tweener vehicle. It's a little bit smaller than an than an Audi Q7, but also not quite as big as like a BMW X7 or a Lexus TX. Now, in terms of fuel efficiency, that's where the MDX again continues to lag behind its rivals. So I would love to see Acura do a hybrid. It kind of keeps the car from being a top recommendation for me. As long as you're okay with paying more at the pump, this is definitely still one of the best out there. It's one of the sportiest driving, one of the best sounding, and also a quicker accelerating vehicle, but again, it could be even faster considering there is a Type S badge on the back and the front of this vehicle. Now, if you're looking to put an MDX Type S in your driveway, this is where it's going to cost you a relatively pretty penny, because you can get to a base MDX for about $51,200 before destination. Most of you are probably going to add the technology package, or at least want to go for an A-Spec model. An A-Spec is going to cost you at least $60,000. An A-Spec with advanced package is basically a new trim this year that basically pairs the advanced package tech along with the sportiness of the A-Spec, that's gonna cost you around 68 grand. That was the price of a Type S last year when there was a non-advanced version of the Type S. Now, if you want a Type S, it's gonna cost you at least $75,250. So that's a pretty hefty amount of cash, about 25 grand more than the base MDX, although it's only about 7 grand more versus an A-Spec advanced model, which is kind of the whole point of upgrading to the Type S. You get the additional power from the V6 turbo, from the upgraded adaptive air suspension, of course, from the additional, styling touches that you get. So 7 grand seems like a worthy upcharge. With destination and the color upcharge, my test car here is around $76,900. So 77 grand certainly is not cheap, but it is around the same price as like a Lexus TX 500h F Sport Performance. It's more expensive versus an Infiniti QX60, but it's also less expensive versus like a comparably equipped BMW X5 with the inline-6 turbo engine, although the Acura does come with that third row, which you can't get in the X5 anymore, so you technically have to go to an X7. The Germans are basically going to be more expensive. A Volvo XC90 is going to be kind of in the same ballpark, but again, it's not going to be as satisfying to drive, although I haven't had a chance to drive the heavily updated model for 2025 and a half. So overall, there's still plenty to like about the MDX. I just think that Acura is missing the mark here by not offering a hybrid powertrain, by not offering the Type S with even more power, because when you have a 500 horsepower ZDX Type S in showrooms next to this car for about the same price, it kind of makes this car look a little bit weak with its only 355 horsepower, but at least out in the real world, it does offer satisfying performance. So as long as you don't get too caught up in the numbers, or you guys aren't looking for the best fuel efficiency, the latest MDX is certainly still worth a look, and it certainly is worth a look to be at your top of your shopping list for something like this. Well, with all that said, hope you guys have enjoyed my full overview on the latest 2025 Acura MDX Type S. If you're also looking to see the latest cars I'm testing, be sure to follow me on Instagram at redline_reviews, like us on Facebook, and as always, guys, please keep subscribing to the Redline Reviews YouTube channel for all the latest reviews. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you all in the next video.